I'm Aaron Nathans.
And I'm Michael Ronstadt.
And you're listening to
The Nathans and Ron
cast. And oh my goodness, you have tuned into a good episode because we talked to the great Vance Gilbert. I've followed Vance for at least 15 years, seen him at the Falcon Ridge Folk Festival repeatedly. I know that you and your brother have opened for him. I've opened for him. He's a great member of the folk music community, a leader in the folk music community. A great teacher and just an all-around good egg. Vance has been sick lately. He's been battling cancer. He just did a GoFundMe that raised, I think, more than $100,000. It's a very poignant interview, and he sings, and we talk about his struggle with cancer and his ability to continue to play through it and sing through it. And we talk a little bit about his journey as an artist and how he maybe isn't trying quite so hard these days and how it's probably made him more effective as a performer. And we talk about leaving space. Do you leave space in your... You're all about the space.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the space is more important than the notes you play. And I think that goes across every discipline, just life in general. I mean, sometimes the silence and listening to people is more important than talking and telling your own story. And that happens in a song occasionally. You just stay. So I really relate to his idea and the way he talks about the power of leaving space. When he doesn't say the thing you think he's going to say, but he still says it louder because of that.
Vance is funny. You know, a lot of that comes through in this interview. We're going to have to put an explicit label on this one because he swears repeatedly.
Oh, at my expense sometimes, but actually a compliment to my cello. So thank you to my cello, I guess.
Yes. All right. Well, speaking about leaving space, we're going to leave space for this interview. So here's part one of our interview with Vance Gilbert.
Enjoy.
Well, Vance Gilbert, welcome to the Nathans and Ron cast. Someone we've wanted to have on for a long time.
Well, thank you for making space for me. That's very cool.
Why you? You recently had a GoFundMe that raised more than...
Cancer. I had cancer. I'll say it.
Yes. That raised... more than $100,000 with 1,300 donors.
It was really the most absurd. I mean, I was so taken and moved by it. I was planning strategies to give it back because how do I say this for real? And to say it, I'll say it for real. I don't think, and I didn't think I needed all that came in. And I am old enough and humane enough to know that in the eyes of whatever or whoever guides this thing that we're on, this journey, that paying it forward is an important thing to know to do. That having been said, I have been convinced by people that no, this is the way your audience and your fans have let you know that you're important, and I am going to take said money when the bills roll in for the treatment. I'm sure there'll be some paying off of that, and the rest of it will go towards making some kind of music or another. And also, to be vulgar about it, a car. There's, I mean, you can't see it out the way the cameras are aligned. There's a minivan out there that has 175,000 miles on it, and that's a lot. So I need to take care of some business with it, and yeah, it's funny you would bring up the number because it's public. You know, you can go look, but it certainly didn't make me rich. And the rest of it, I put it in a high yield something or other. And again, I'll, at the 1 year mark or something or other, I'll thank a bunch of people. But no, ain't nobody getting it back. It's mine. It's mine.
It is, and I think people were. To say that you were beloved is a big understatement.
Well, that's
I mean, our community adores you, and part of why they adore you is not just that you put on a good show, but then you kind of get into the crowd and you get to know people, and the fact that you know my name, even though I'm just some guy in the crowd who I think the only time that I've actually performed I performed two full sets for you. One was when I opened for you at the Kennett Flash years ago. And the other was when you were on a massage table at the Falcon Ridge Folk Festival. And I talk about a captive audience. So that was...
so funny that you remembered that.
Do you remember that?
No!
Well, there you go. See, I must have made an impression. But I felt like you were listening. You made a sound as if you were listening. And that made me feel
I think that was
seen.
somebody's thumb under my damn scapula. That's what I was like, Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. Nice nice use of language.
Oh, man. So how are you doing?
I'm let me knock on some wood. I'm healing. I'm better. I sort of use as the canary in the coal mine, my voice as an indicator of how am I doing this, and that went through some changes since the end of my treatment. Do you guys slate these or date these podcasts? Or
I hope we'll get this thing out soon, but today
Okay.
is Friday, October 24th.
Okay. Well, treatment was about 8 weeks ago had ended, but I was told that not to skip around yippee skippy at the end of treatment, thinking that was the end of everything. I was told that treatment was like a really bad sick sunburn, and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "Well, in a bad sick sunburn, you have the effects later." And I still looked at the doctor like that, and he said, with a bad sick sunburn, think of your treatment, the end of your treatment, as you folding up the umbrella and leaving the beach. So it's the waiting later, through the next batch of weeks later, that the voice gets affected and your swallowing is affected, and so many other throat things, because it was a throat cancer I had. It was a tonsillary, and I'm happy to talk about it because
Sure.
it was HPV based, which we can actually avoid nowadays, not by any great religious don't have contact with people thing, but by having a normal life, but getting the vaccine. You guys are probably too old, but if you have kids, get them to have that vaccine, the HPV vaccine, and you can alleviate a lot of this. And so there was a lot to deal with in the midst of that healing, and the voice came and went, and currently it's in a state of came. I've been singing really well the last couple weeks or so, but previously to that, it was rough. I was warming up starting at 2 p.m, and then going to the gig and warming up at the gig, same warm up, and then getting dressed for the gig 45 minutes before I go on stage, and then going for a run. And that was the only way to have a voice. And I'm still there with that because that seems to be working. But I can be a little more lackadaisical with that stringent setup. But I'm singing well. I'd say 85% of my fatigue has been alleviated, but there's still some. And that's it. And now I point the car and go and end up somewhere and sing, which is what we do, as you know.
I'm so glad to hear that you feel like you're singing well, because that is just such a wonderful thing to hear. Because when my brother Petey and I opened up for you, you were so warm and just welcomed us in like family. and we're so grateful, and it just, you made an imprint on us. So
thank you. It was that opener out there was that show was fun. It was a reconnection with my cousin who was in the audience. I hadn't seen her in 20 years, easily, maybe 30, and it was great. It was great because she's now an Arizona native. But the whole first of all, let me expound upon the point that I'm making. I would love to think that I had the library of tunes enough that it didn't matter what kind of voice I had to sing them. So it has forced me to take the guitar from time to time, particularly when I'm doing Vance's Monday night acoustic pajama party, which I've been doing since March 2020 when something was happening back then.
Live stream.
Yeah, my live stream. I've been learning to move the capo around on the guitar and bring the capo down and sing kind of up to it, kind of deal, or vice versa. And it's a real re-experience of singing, just aging itself. You know, you think of Tom Jones. And you listen to some early Tom Jones from the 60s, and it's not unusual to be loved by anyone, you know. And then you listen to Tom Jones from a couple of years ago or so, it's not unusual to be loved by anyone, you know, it's dropped. But it's still effective. And when I'm teaching performance or even songwriting for that matter, it's just like, just be effective. You don't have to sing high. You're going to lose your top end. You know, if you can keep it in tune and just be effective, then you will have all the tools you need to do a good songwriting thing.
So I went to the Princeton Record Exchange and found one of your old records. I first saw you in 2007, right? So you had an entire career before that, where you were kind of a young, the hot new thing coming through Boston, right?
Right.
And I wanted to hear what you sounded like in those days. And it was, you seemed to be putting more emphasis on the melody. You seemed to put more emphasis on the vocal stylings. There was the songwriting was maybe a little bit more cryptic. But right now, you just come right out and say what's on your mind, and you can, at least as of the last time I saw you, which was before you went public with the diagnosis, you could still hit some high notes and put on, vocal. You could sing really well. Pyrotechnics, I think, was the word I was looking for, but. So I guess it's really two questions. Did you know that you were making that kind of switch over the years, that you were kind of settling into that sort of a songwriting and performing presence that kind of moved more toward this storytelling?
I'm going to buck up against you just a bit and say I think even then I was doing both, but the tunes that were probably more cryptic, as you put it, were the ones where I could put my foot in the gas tank and deliver the performance.
Oh, yeah.
Per se. There's still stuff from that, in fact, from that very early album that you speak of that I think have a story arc to them, which to me is, how can I put this? The song, I used to put my foot in the gas tank, and now that aspect of said song is more, what is the story there? And how do I best lift that story and give it to the listener? And I think the answer to that in a lot of ways and times is simply, well, you can still hit some high notes, but you don't need to hit all of them. Not in the one damn song. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Is it a decent song? I can look back at some of those albums that you may have. There were some of those albums that I could take 3 of those albums and make one well-written album, because some of the songs were telling a story, but I would say some of them were trying too hard, and that's okay. I was nascent, This was new to me, so
Right.
I feel like I'm lucky in a way, because I have had all the aspects of the singer-songwriter thing to call on when I needed to. But yeah, I feel like, again, the legacy I want to leave is, wow, man, that was a great song. As opposed to, man, did you hear that note?
Well, I loved when we opened up for you. I have a hard time being an audience, and part of you having the whole package in your performances is that it's great melodies, great chord choices. You're going from the American songbook type of chord changes, essentially, to the whole range, to the folk finger pick styles, right? You've got the whole range. And I just think that, what I took away from being in the audience, just watching you at the Fox Theater in Tucson, was just going, I'm like, I want to do more. I want to do that too. And I already do what I do, but it's one of those things. But I was inspired to write more songs. I came home, wrote more songs. And
that's great.
And I feel like we were talking about how, what Aaron's mentioning about how your songs really just speak right to the point. And that was part of what I also enjoyed about your performance. Your songs, they have a purpose. There's also more depth to them, obviously, but that initial thing, that sometimes there's like this sting to it, it kind of points something out. Whether it's, there were a few songs that just talked about racial things that needed to be said, and you just say it, and I love it.
I'm glad. I'm glad. I mean, part of, there was a time in my writing, and I still think I'm in that stretch in at various points in time, where being cryptic was high art to me. I mean, I think in terms of somebody like Sean Colvin. The streets of my town are not what they were. They were haloed in anger, bitter and hurt. So I went out walking. I said, what is she talking about? And by the end of the song, I'm still saying I'm not sure what she's talking about, but I'm profoundly moved. So how does that work? Right? I mean, the song does not point to a specific ethos or an event even, but you're moved. And I have, with various things, I have attempted, sometimes I can confuse that kind of writing with taking, like I'm sure everybody writes in notes on their phone from time to time, and just taking the first 10 lines and calling that a song. Like whatever it was, like if you wrote, the bus went by and these scrambled eggs are yellow, and you just take shit like that and line them up and turn it into a song. I was like, well, I'm going to be really cryptic. I said, no, you can't do that, Vance, because people are going to think you're an utter dumbass. But there's a temptation for that. But I guess what I'm saying is that being cryptic, I think cryptic is an end product to a type of writing that does not absolutely hit the point, and you have to listen more broadly. It ends up being cryptic. So I'm still a fan of that type of writing, but there's some things that are just straight up direct. I got a kick out of when I wrote this one. And in fact, I said to myself, this This is so direct. I know who you voted for. I hear when your news comes on. I see the kind of truck you drive, and that sign stuck up on your lawn. I ain't here about your squeaky gate or what WD-40 can do. I'm just sitting uninvited on your front porch with you. Something where there once was nothing. That's one crazy ass disease. Nothing said can bring her back. At least on that we both agree. Nothing but these crickets and these rocking chairs, and another day you just made it through. I'm just sitting uninvited on your front porch with you. I recall how she got mad when you cussed me across the fence. You said that I was some kind of so-and-so. Hell, that seemed like it was yesterday. Hell, that seems so long ago. Lightning bugs is all around us. I know you call them fireflies. Either way, they twinkle in the black, trying to imitate a starry sky. I know you appreciate this gesture, but they just bugs. That's what they do. Ain't no need of saying nothing. I'm just sitting on your front porch, uninvited with you. I'm just sitting uninvited on your front porch with you.
I like the porch swing. That's got it. That's you know, on the cello.
Oh, is that what you heard?
Yeah, I'd heard a porch swing.
That's what you heard? Because I was trying to do crickets. Maybe it needs to be. Maybe I shouldn't do it at all. The song speaks for itself.
Well,
Maybe I need to leave that
It's good
out.
crickets too. I've got a porch swing sound on my cello that I like to get my
That's
students
really
to laugh
great that
with.
you heard
So I
porch
thought I'd just
swing.
imagine you just swinging on their porch swing. You're going, "Hey, what's up?"
That's a win. That's a win for me, you know, because yeah, that's talk about a creaky voice too. I definitely have the creakies this morning, but yeah, that suits that song. That song is like this, and that voice is like that. So,
When did you write that?
Uninvited was written the top of last year.
Okay, so this was before the problem started.
Oh yeah.
We're going to take a little break to talk about our social media side. We are Aaron Nathans and Michael G. Ronstadt. We're so thankful you're here listening. We are podcast creators and interviewers, but we are also musicians first. And so we have a lot of music at nathansandronstadt.com, Spotify, all that good stuff. We also have a YouTube channel, which has tons of live performances as well as our album. And I've been posting a ton of live performances from house concerts to big stages to our album release in 2023. If you want to hear some of your favorite songs, please go check it out. Like it, subscribe, and be informed. Please be fanatical. We want you as our fan. Thank you so much for being a part of our journey, and we look forward to hearing from you.
To our interview with Vance Gilbert.
Well, you know, when the problem started, I was singing fine. I right on, I was like, what's this bump? And I went in to my doctor, and the doctor said it's probably a clogged salivary gland or something of that ilk. However, just in case, as soon as you hear just in case, you go like, oh, jeez. He sent me into a specialist surgeon to see. And that guy was the absolute opposite of my doctor. He looked at the bump and then took a tongue depressor and looked at a tonsil. He says, you've got tonsil cancer. I was like, well, you didn't take you didn't swab anything or take a sample or anything? He says, oh, no, you've tonsil cancer. And then when they looked, like, officially, and indeed, that's what it was. I mean, he's just this Dr. Desher in Boston. It was absolutely what he thought it was because he's seen it so many times. Mm. And, the problem didn't start until a third of the way through radiation when they are actually, getting when you're getting everything to glow, putting the glow, like turning me into Spider-Man. I said, man, I wish a spider or something would bite me so I could have some probably my luck would be like a grasshopper.
I'm going to ask you something really personal.
Hopping around. What?
I'm going to ask you something really personal. Tell me if you don't want to answer. Did you have health insurance?
Oh, yeah.
You do?
You have to have health insurance in this country, right? I mean,
in theory.
To do various things.
So, thank goodness for that, right?
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of musicians might choose to, forgo that expense.
No, I definitely, whatever that was to pony up each month. A lot of musicians need to remember that on your taxes, which I also pay, you can write your health insurance off. So that's a different check that I write for. It's not health insurance for me anymore. It's Medicare. I'm older than the dirt. What? What am I doing here? Who are you white boys? What the hell? But yeah. So yeah, I was. It's funny. I take a certain amount of pride in. I know it sounds goofy, in paying bills. And I pay all my bills with paper. Uh-huh. I send in checks because there's that. I put on like a bad movie. I'll put on The Bourne Identity or something and sit down and write my bills out rather than pay them online because I'm so proud to be able to pay them, doing it with money that I made from this career that I've carved out, singing and playing guitar. Mm. There's great pride in that.
I remember seeing there was a book called How to Make It in the New Music Business, and the guy talks about how you've made it if you can pay your bills, doing what you love.
I totally agree. I mean, there wasn't. Except for a couple of cousins that sang in choirs and such. I didn't have music in my family like you guys did. There's no music in the family like where I was, And, when I went to college, I mean, I always entertained myself as a kid. I was, my brother is 10 years older than I am, so I was it's just the two of us, and that made me a semi-only child, pretty much, and I had to imitate myself. Well, yeah, it's a certain amount of trauma as a kid will make it so that you end up having to imitate yourself too. I mean, it's funny that's a misnomer that I just threw out there, but it was a violent house. It was an alcoholic house. So when I got out, I didn't know anybody anything, and during college,
where was that?
Connecticut College in New London, Connecticut. That was my most stable time between September and May, because I was homeless. I was homeless for 4 years, wow. And I was on couches and back of a car for a while, and and people were taking me in. Yeah, you know.
Were
and,
you an artist at that point?
No, I was just trying to get through college. All I had to do was I had to make like $1,000 for the summer to match whatever scholarship or loans. I had loans for college, and I guess I could have dropped out any time. And but I felt, well, if I could keep the loans up and I could stay in college, that was 7 or 8 months that I could be somewhere. Parents had split, and you know the house had gone up for sheriff's sale, and
Where in Philadelphia?
Willingboro, New Jersey, right outside of Philly. It was a little rancher, and I came home. I knew what had happened, but I came home at Christmas, and no one was there, of course, and it was the heat wasn't on, so I left the oven door open, and it was electric, and I turned that on to heat the place, and I stayed there that night, and trying to figure out because my keys still worked, and some friends had dropped me off all the way from Connecticut. They dropped me off in New Jersey, and dropped me off there, and then there's a knock on the door, and it's my best friend from across town in that same town, and he had an overcoat on, and he crawled in next to me, and we were sharing the bed, and he rolled over at some point. He said, "Look, bro, I'm here tonight with you, but my mom says you got to come stay with us. She would not allow you. Neighbors and friends weren't going to allow me to live in this house. That was up for sheriff's sale anyway. So I ended up in people's houses for that part of the year, and for the next 4 years until I found an apartment in Boston. And I was underage too, because I went to college at 16.
Oh, wow.
So I wasn't an adult yet.
So you were in school this whole time that you were homeless?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And, you know, I call it homeless now. It felt like they didn't have language for a lot of shit back then. They didn't have language for autism. They didn't have language for ADD, things that we toss around now. After you talk to somebody for 15 minutes and you go like, they're on the spectrum, and you're not talking about a streaming service. So that, to make a long story even stupider, that's why I like paying my bills in paper, because it's very tactile, and it reminds me that I did this. I made this frickin' career. Mm-hmm. I pulled this off. I went to the open mics. I bought the Volkswagen Beetle that I put many miles on, driving from place to place. And that can't be taken from me.
Mm. Excuse my forgetfulness, but I forget where you live, what part of the country you live in now.
Just outside of Boston.
Just outside of Boston. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Arlington, Massachusetts. Yeah.
So, wow. Yeah, it's.
Right.
I remember. As a musician who toured and tours, I say I'm a failing touring musician, but sometimes that's because my day job is teaching all my students, but I still make a living with music.
Hell yeah.
And I still do like 250, 300 shows a year, but it's kind of one of those things where when I was trying to do it without teaching, there was an uncertainty about, can I get from here to there? Because I don't have any money left in my account. This gig better pay enough. And
X, it needs to pay X.
And I remember the feeling every night when I'd get enough to cover gas and maybe a meal to go from point A to point B. And if you were really lucky, if you got some money for a hotel or someone offer their couch. Knowing that in a small way, much respect to you for doing that, through college and doing your education. That's amazing.
Michael, I did this interview with Michael. So Michael, what do you tour and sing and play? What's your music like? And cello, bitches, cello.
Is that what it is?
It's a big ass guitar. It's a cello. And you got to have the face too, like
Jello. Exactly. Well, without cursing, sometimes I have some friends who say I have a New Jersey alter ego, Michael Effin Ronstadt, with the actual curse word.
We're going to get to put an E on this thing. Thank you, Vince.
oh my goodness! I just said the B word. It's not
Close enough. It always sounds better when you put the E in.
Okay, so since we're doing that, I wrote a song called "Assholes with Augers," and I got to put an E on one of my
I
tracks.
have to put two of them on there.
So I felt very excited. I was like, "Yes, I have a parental warning."
well,
Sorry, Aaron,
I
sorry.
actually seldom use the B word because it's for many women that might be listening. It's offensive. It's offensive. If I'm being comedic, and I believe in free speech, comedy, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. But not around the house, because if I use the B word and my partner with whom I own this house, she'll come up and say, so how about if I just publicly call you the N-word? Do you understand? I was like, and she's a white woman, but she can't help that. I was like, okay, I get it. Damn, you didn't have to pull out the big gun so early.
Oh.
But there's something about, I don't know, Jello, bitch. There's just something really enigmatic about that.
Exactly. You know what? I need an ad campaign. That's all I've said. Get me more gigs. I'm just joking.
I think you just gave us our new elevator pitch. Enigmatic folk.
Enigmatic folk, yeah, sure. Oh, Lordy.
So one of my most potent Vance Gilbert moments over this year, you weren't there.
Okay, I'm going to stop you. That sounds scary. You want to talk about a nasty rating. That sounds wrong right there. It just does. The potent Vance Gilbert moment is like, did somebody got something to wipe this off? Is what?
Have you had
Can
a
I wipe
Vance
it off
Gilbert
with my
moment?
pet sloth here, or what?
I was just going about my business one afternoon at a group gig in someone's backyard when Lisa Jeanette got up and she started performing, and oh my God! I mean, I've been
monster.
following Lisa for a couple of years, and whatever lessons you've been working with her, and she's following them. That was an amazing performance.
She's a beast. She came to the fold as a beast. She came to this as a professional double bassist who happens to play pretty fair guitar and piano.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, shut up. And there's some, there's just some songwriting things with Lisa Jeanette that were way on point. That I wanted to see her be a little more cryptic somewhere. When I'm coaching songwriting, I'll ask people. I was like, drop those words. Well, why would I drop those? Don't say what that says in the song, what the thing is about. I said, exactly. Let the audience figure that out. Let the audience hear that, because you've already said it with your poetry. You don't have to put the cap on that jar. There's no need. And I think there's often people who are just about there don't have the what's the word I'm looking for? They don't have the confidence to realize that they have told the story in so many words. In so many words. That's where "in so many words" comes from. That's where that saying comes from. You take the words and you tell the story, and then you don't have to say, everybody was in love so much that they died. It's like, no, you don't say it. You said it here already. And I did a fair amount of that with her. I also had her pull back in some places. I had her not sing so prettily in some places. I had her not sing in some places. Get out of the way. No one needs to hear you right there. You don't need to be heard there. That's get out the way. And the combination of all those things makes for next level for all of us, I think. So,
what is it that you think gives you the ability to see that? I mean, I've seen you do it dozens of times with people and make them better artists by. I mean, where do you find those? Is that just through raw experience, or did somebody teach you this? Or?
Aaron, I think it is experience. I think it's when taking the closer look. I mean, I don't spend a gazillion hours on YouTube looking at performances, and I don't go out a lot either because I'm busy doing my own thing, you know. But when I see effective performance, I think a little differently maybe than some other listeners. The first thing I'll look at and see, like, look at what they're not doing. And
what are they not doing usually?
They're not singing as much. They're out of the way. They're making all the sounds that they're making space. There's great space in some of the greater performing people that I can think of. Yeah, all of them. People making space.
Huh.
Richard Thompson makes great space. Like Sean Colvin, again, makes great use of space. Early videos of Glenn Campbell singing Wichita Alignment. That song needs space because there's shit going by in that song that's like what is that? And when you think about how that song is sung and how out of the way he is of that lyric, it's mind-boggling. It really is. And he just nails the melody. And each time you see it differently, different. I have pulled that song up on the web and looked at him singing it solo on Johnny Carson and then somewhere else with the band, and it's what he's not doing. That's just like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, in my classical training, you know, it's sometimes, especially, you know, from that through the improv, they're like, I once had at a jazz jam when I was in my master's degree, I was going to this Blue Wisp jazz club in Cincinnati, and the guy who played bass and also owned the place shortly before, I think the Blue Wisp had some ups and downs, but he leaned over next to me right after I played a solo and said, "Don't try to play everything you know at once." And so loud, like everyone could hear it. I'm like thinking, oh. But I remember taking that in a difficult way and going, this is a lesson to be had. It was taught in the wrong way, but it was taught in the way I needed to hear it, I guess, you know. So
well, whether you needed to hear it that way or not, you heard it. And that's what, absolutely. I mean, and I would take this in another, from another venue. You think of, there's a lot of R&B soul singing. There are a lot of notes. It's like, oh my God. Like when an R&B soul-based singer, white or black, sings the national anthem. We've all seen that GIF or meme where the sheet music is like the notes
the
everywhere.
melismatic wonderland.
Exactly. But if you look back at somebody like Marvin Gaye could do anything that anybody wanted to do today. Tons of space. Luther Vandross, actually, but a chair is not a chair and a house is not a home. Whoa. He'll go up to that note and do that. But when he's done, he's done. He's done singing and he'll go back. He'll wait until it's just like he knows where to melisma, you know, and a lot of people don't. And it's just, I'm concentrating on it that way, but people don't. you ask the average listener, they're not going to talk about space. They're going to talk about, well, that sounded great. They're not going to say why. I don't think they will anyway. So
When and how did you learn to give space?
Thursday. Last Thursday, I figured it out. Cello, bitches.
I mean, I was listening
it's about
to Shake
time,
Off,
Vance. It's about time.
listening to Shaking Off Gravity. I mean, you were. I wasn't thinking about space, but I know that you were. You were bringing the power there. Is there more restraint in your in your stagecraft now? Is it a conscious decision to add space to it?
Conscious decision to add space. That's a great question. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping that the evolution of what I do at this point has space on its own because of the fact that I was conscious of it, but not consciously adding.
And that is simply part one of this wonderful interview with Vance Gilbert. We will play the rest for you in our next episode, but we're going to say goodbye for now. Goodbye.
Bye.
Peace.